Major League Journeymen. We are in the house. God, it feels good to be back, fresh off of another milestone birthday for Alan Gordon. He is 44 in your hearts and 106 in his hips, but he still looks good, folks. Gordo.
150 in his back.
It's just those years just keep on climbing. We're actually still pretty impressed you're standing upright, Gordo. Good thing you took a seat for this one, so maybe you can share your last 8 brain cells with us today. I wanted to start with you, Mr. Gordon. You were in attendance with the Colorado Rapids versus LAFC, and you got to see, I think, maybe the front runner for the MLS Cup final in LAFC, maybe the front runner for the Western Conference. But where do we start? Do we start with the Colorado Rapids or we start with LAFC? Let's start with let's pivot real quick and go to the Colorado Rapids because you're a former Rapid, I'm a former Rapid. Were you disappointed in the result, or was it expected to see? Did you expect to kind of just be disappointed?
Oh, that's a good question. Before the game, probably thinking it's going to be a really tough game for him. Obviously, that's not a shocker to anybody. LAFC is a good side. So I thought that they were going to have to. What I wanted to see, let me just say that, Dan.
Yeah.
What I wanted to see is, and I've talked about it a few times, and the more I watch soccer, the more frustrating it gets at how the slow pace of the game and the control of the game. And I just want to see somebody with their backs against the wall, like actually go for it. I would have rather them lost 3-0 than have this slow, methodical, tactical, beautiful game. I'm tired of it. I want to see somebody at home, especially at altitude. What is the hardest thing to do to come into Colorado is push the game.
Yep. Push the pace.
They got Yappy up top, like hit his head and run off him. Have Aronson run off him and just cause some chaos. That's what I was hoping for. So the majority of the game was very disappointing for me as a fan watching it. It just didn't look like their lives were on the line, dude. That was, if I'm Armis, I am screaming at them to freaking go. And I talked to him briefly at the U.S. game, and he that's what he was saying. We got to just go for it. At the end of the day, they come back, and it was awesome. It was like
Gordo. They were 3 minutes away from qualifying for the playoffs.
I know,
that's the frustrating thing.
I've never seen the stadium more packed. We'll get into Son. It was a lovely atmosphere. It was awesome. They had nice little souvenir bucket hats for all the Korean supporters there. It was, and then just to not come through with it after that, it was really tough loss and tough ending to that game. But it just didn't feel like I wanted it to feel.
So, Dax, we're now at a place where we're starting to see changes. There are teams that are done. Colorado Rapids don't get into the playoffs. You went on record, I think,
on Countdown. Yeah.
On Countdown, where you said that Armis, I think, deserves another 6 months potentially to figure this out. Maybe his roster wasn't strong enough. They obviously moved Mihalovic, who was a significant piece for them. And I think in a stretch run,
that's the key. Keep going, Dan, but that's the key.
No, are you shocked? Are you shocked around the conversation that Armis may lose his job, or is it valid?
No, it is. Of course, it's valid. Any team in Major League Soccer that doesn't make the playoffs, there should always be a conversation around the job security of the head coach. I think that's normal for where we're at in the cycle of Major League Soccer right now. This is not MLS in the early 2000s where you make the playoffs, you don't make the playoffs, you like your coach, you want to give him time, maybe there's not better options. Like, we're not there right now. Like, Major League Soccer's come a long way to where there are stakes and there is pressure. And if you don't win, and if you don't give yourself a chance to win a trophy by getting to the playoffs, then of course there are going to be questions. And look, Chris I have a personal relationship with Chris, but I try my best. You guys know this. I'm 1 year into this analyst thing. I try my best to be objective in whether I have a personal relationship with you or not. I try not to let that cloud my judgment. What I saw from Colorado was a team that was competitive. They made the playoffs last year, and
Yep.
I don't think they improved that much.
Yep.
And I saw Chris constantly trying to punch above his weight with a roster that, in my opinion, is flawed. Okay. And then what you said, Dan, really sticks out to
Hold
me.
on.
Go
Do
ahead.
you mean they didn't improve the roster or improve stylistically?
I think both. I don't think they improved the roster drastically in this offseason. And then stylistically, I actually think they regressed a little bit. Okay. And so that's on Chris, but the roster isn't. That's on other people. And what I would say is that if you're in a stretch run and if you're a team that isn't an elite team in Major League Soccer, your best players, you have to ride them and you have to rely on them. And if you get rid of one of them, then you have to be willing to live with the consequences. I think Paxton Aronson is going to turn out to be a very good player in Major League Soccer. Like for like replacement for Georgi Mihailovic, your team got worse in the moment. That's not a question. That's a fact. Okay,
Hmm.
and so they in their last 7 games, they had one win. Okay. And Georgie, I think after the Georgie trade, I think they might have won 1 or 2 games right afterwards. But then down the stretch, his loss was felt. Okay. And they weren't dynamic enough in the attack. They don't have enough difference makers. Paxton Aronson is young. I think he's going to be a difference maker. But right now, the Colorado Rapids roster, I look at that roster, I don't see a playoff roster. That's what I see. So
Hmm.
I think Chris deserves a little bit more time to try to get it right with an improved roster. Now, I don't know if he's going to get that time. We don't have any inside info. We're not like breaking news. We're not, Tommy Scoops. We're not Tom Bogert breaking news here. But I don't have any inside info. When I look at it, I would like to see a slightly improved roster for Chris to try to go and make this thing better because I think what he showed in his first season is more reflective of the type of coach he is and can be. But in MLS, I don't know, Gordo, you know as well as I do that the leashes are shorter than they've ever been. You guys, we all saw that interaction he had with the reporter post game, which I personally would have liked to see Chris handle that a little bit differently. But at the same time, I understand the frustration of being covered and the negativity. Chris is a very positive guy generally, but
Yeah.
guess what, man? Like MLS is being covered in a different way now. So if you don't make the playoffs, there's going to be negativity.
It is. And Dax, and I'll add to that. All I'm saying is I feel like there's a separation of clubs now in the MLS. There's clubs like the Rapids, for example, who are going to be a revolving door of coaches without having the support of a roster, and that's from higher up. That's from the front office.
Hmm.
And other clubs like Atlanta, for example, or
Yep.
name a couple that are firing guys that are making the decisions and making DP signings. And you could probably speak more to that because how I am, but doesn't it just feel like that? Colorado is never. I think with Robin Fraser. I think with Pablo. It goes all the way
Hmm.
back. They've never.
Hmm.
They
Barry
every
Smith.
coach we know. Us three know all of them personally.
Hmm.
Every single coach that comes in here because it's usually ex MLS guys that are trying to get their start, and they pay them minimal dollars, and they don't give them a roster that's going to be successful. So they give them one
Sure.
contract and they're out.
Yep.
So let me ask you a question, guys, because I think Porig has put himself in a really difficult position, to be honest. Because if you move on from your number 10, right, which I can't necessarily say I disagree with the move, to get what he got back, 8 million, like for Mihailovic, that's a pretty good recoup, right? But it also puts your coach in a very significantly difficult position. Now you're coming to re-signing said coach, and if you move on from Armis, who is going to feel confident in taking that job? Who is going to feel confident in, okay, well, hey, you pulled the wool out from under me, or maybe you didn't. Maybe this
Right.
was discussed. Maybe, and it could have been, but you're now saying like, okay, I'm taking your key cog off your field and now holding you to the same standard without replenishing that necessarily for right now and not giving you a chance. what coach is going to come in and say, okay, great, I can't wait to sign up for this? There
Yeah.
will be a coach, obviously. It's still the Rapids, but I do think that Borg's put himself in a tough position because what you're talking about, Gordo, I feel like coaches are walking out of that building all feeling very similar. They're all
Yeah.
feeling very similar, as in, like, I don't know if there's a long-term place for me here because of the lack of investment. And that's a challenging place for Porig now to be in, to go and have to try and acquire talent.
Yeah. And I think it's funny that not funny, but I think it's ironic that who the Rapids played on the last day of the season was LAFC, where you also have a coaching change on the horizon in a very different fashion. And I'm not saying there's a
Hmm.
coaching change on the horizon in Colorado. I'm just saying if you were to look at LAFC, you might have you probably have the pick of the litter when it comes to available coaches, not just right in the US and in North America, but potentially
Hmm.
globally. You
Hmm.
probably have a pool of 300-400 coaches who are all desperate for the LAFC job. That's not the reality for the Colorado Rapids.
No, it's not.
You're looking at a very different pool of potential coaches and candidates, and it's not to say that it's not a desirable job, but there's levels here. Like Gordo was saying, there are
Hmm.
tiers. And the Colorado Rapids don't fall into that tier, that same tier as LAFC. So, look, I think there's going to be. Chris said, look, there will be conversations that are going to be had, and I'm hoping that they can come to an agreement to say, look, let's move forward together and see if we can right this ship, right? Because at the end of the day, uh, Chris, I think he's shown that he can be a successful coach in Major League Soccer. A lot of it is dependent on your roster, though, and the players that you have available to you.
It's tough. I remember leaving Colorado as a player, and I remember some of the conversations that were happening in the locker room at that time. And the crazy part is, I don't know if they're all that dissimilar to what's happening in the locker room now. You're sitting here thinking Colorado is built to have an advantage because of the altitude. There are few, environments that set you up for different levels of success potentially, or challenges for teams coming in there. To your point, Gordo, about not necessarily developing a style of play to reflect that, number one, but then number two, also not investing in a built-in advantage. And that
Yeah.
that then points back up to Kroenke, and do they really actually care about the Rapids? Because the amount of talent that has come through that organization is somewhat scary. It really is. Like, from when we were there, and like, you're looking at it and you're like, this is an ideal job. You get to live in
Yeah.
Denver, you get to play in Denver, you get to build a roster, you have an ownership group that does have what seems to be unlimited resources. They're just never really allocated in the right direction, or in the direction of the Rapids, which is disappointing. On the other side of the mountain, and in RSL, you have players that have left Colorado to go to RSL. You mentioned Pablo, and now he's leading there. It's just kind of wild. Dax,
Yeah.
you jumped on the LAFC train, and I know that, Gordo, you saw it firsthand. Before we move on to the rest of Decision Day, is LAFC for you? Are they the most dangerous team in the league, Gordo?
After seeing what Messi does the other day, it's just it's just really stupid, that he's still doing it. I mean, he's going to be the MVP, and he's the most dangerous player in the league. But if you're asking me, yeah, I mean, it's 1A, 1-2. I mean, Son, do you see that step over and finish? He
Yeah.
hit it
Yeah.
left footed. He hit it past Zach Steffen, his face, and he didn't even know it was coming at him. If I hit that footed, if I hit that left footed, Zach Steppen catches it, right? And
He,
He
he takes
traps
it
it.
down. He takes it
He
down with his
traps
chest.
it.
right. No, there, and hey, I could see, we've talked about this before, but I could see their camaraderie. I think every single game they're getting a little bit more comfortable with each other. They're combining, they're looking for each other. And they're just super dynamic, man. So yes, to answer your question, I would say yes. LAFC is the most dangerous team for me. Messi's the most dangerous player,
Messi's the most dangerous player. That's fair.
but two's better than
LAFC
one.
LAFC is scary right now,
Yeah.
and it's funny because they needed a 90th minute equalizer against the Rapids, a team that I don't believe is even in their same league, to actually end up drawing that game, right? And so, um, you know. the international break had a factor, right? Denny Bouanga and Son Heung-min both on international duty, long flights back after their national team obligations. And going to altitude is never easy, but LAFC right now, they have the two most dangerous players in Major League Soccer playing together. The most
Hmm.
dynamic duo in the league, bar none. It's not
Hmm.
even close right now with Son and Bouanga. Uh, Denny Bouanga is playing at his absolute best, and Son has had such a transformational effect on not just on Bouanga, but on that locker room and that attack that they have. I don't know if I can remember, quite honestly, two global superstars who have come into the league at the same time as Son and Thomas Muller for Vancouver have, and had such. I think we all had big expectations for them. I think they've
Hmm.
blown those out of the water, both of them.
Yeah, I think they've definitely exceeded
They,
them. I would
they
agree.
have they have both been insane how good they've
Hmm.
been, and so I think that it is.
I
I
think
think
it helps
there's
that they both came in at the same time, don't you, Dax?
sure, yeah, they're
Because like
pushing each other.
we've
Yeah,
gotten
absolutely,
superstars, right? I remember when we were at the Galaxy, we had Stevie, but then on the other side of the country, they had Pirlo and Lampard and Villa, and that I think pushed it a little bit. But what these two
totally
are doing right now was
scary.
they're obviously goal scorers too, which makes a difference and it shows up in a different way. But man, it's fun to watch them.
And
They're
those two and the point is those two teams, Vancouver LAFC, along with the Seattle Sounders, the perennial contenders, I just don't see another team in the West coming out of the field. I think it's
Mhm.
those three teams and then the field. So
And not
What
not
about
San
Vancouver?
Diego.
I said
No,
Vancouver. I
yeah,
said
he's got
Vancouver,
Vancouver.
LAFC, Seattle. I love San Diego. I've been on the San Diego train all season
You have
long. I,
been.
I love. I absolutely love what Mikey Veras is doing. Mikey Veras is going to get my vote for MLS Coach of the Year over Jesper Sorensen and Bradley Carnell. Which, to me, you guys could tell me you're voting for Sorensen and Carnell, and I would shake your hand and say that's a great decision.
Yeah.
There really is not a wrong choice when it comes to Coach of the Year right now because all three of them have ironclad cases. I
Yeah.
really genuinely believe that. But what Mikey Veras has done and what San Diego has done, I applaud because it's brilliant how
Did
they
Carnell
play
did Carnell
all of it.
get the coach of the year when they won the Western Conference with
St.
St. Louis?
Louis, he did.
He
He
did
won
win coach of the
it
year.
because of it's such a great accomplishment for an expansion team.
Where
I just
where's he
I
at for people that don't watch MLS? Where's he at? Philly?
Bradley Carnell is in
Carnell's in
Philly. He
Philly.
just won
Yes.
the Supporter Shield in Philly. And so to wrap up the Western Conference with San Diego, I do think they have a chance because of how they play, and they've got Anders Dreyer, who's one of the best players in the league, quite easily. He's number two
Hmm.
for me in the MVP voting. But I
Fair.
just fear they don't have a striker that I think strikes fear into people. Amal Pellegrino has come in and he's actually looked pretty good the last
I would
couple of
agree.
games, but they just don't have a striker that I think if Anders Dreyer gets taken out of a game, Chucky Lozano struggled with injuries all year long. I I also look at San Diego. You guys might not know this, but they just set a record, not for an expansion team, for all of MLS's existence for most road wins in a season in Major League Soccer.
How many?
Wow.
Stunning.
How
So
many?
I actually I think it's 12 or 13 road wins. Road wins. That's more than a significant amount of MLS teams even won all year long total games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I actually look at San Diego being at home and having home field advantage as maybe not the best thing in the world for them to come out of the West because they haven't been great at Snapdragon Stadium. They've been amazing on the road. They haven't been
Hmm.
great at home. So it's funny, we were debating kind of that in the studio, like that's great for them. You want to win every game you play, but they're not as good at home as they are on the road. So does that affect things? I just in a big game where you need kind of that playoff know-how and that playoff metal and that
Yeah.
experience. I
Yep.
just look at what Vancouver, LAFC, and Seattle has, and I think it's just more than San Diego.
Yeah, I think that's
I
fair.
would-
I think you also have a little bit more of game planning in the playoffs, and there's a little bit
True.
more to come at you or coming at you as opposed to like we haven't seen you yet, and you happen to be good, and we don't really have a ton on some of these players, and there's a lot there. I Before we move on to overall picks, though, I wanted to talk about one of your former organizations, Dax, in Atlanta that move on from Ronnie Delia, which like for me was an interesting one, not because of the decision, just because Atlanta, I do think tends to allow coaches or individuals just time. They give them a little bit more, and Delia is, I think, on a multi-year deal, and they move on from him. Where do you think Atlanta goes? Because now we're talking about, the different levels of spend here, or the different,
Yeah.
I guess, process that each of these organizations is going through. LAFC, potentially Colorado, which is a different tier of club, and now you have Atlanta, which has gotten it, to be fair, wrong a few
Yeah.
times, and has to do something in Atlanta. Does Atlanta, in your opinion, and I want to hear from you, Dax, first. Do they approach it as in a win now to head into 2026? Do they approach it as in, there's a coach within the organization that they'd be interested in,
Yeah.
and kind of get you through 26 to approach 27 and see kind of who's
No.
around? Like,
I'm
where
sorry.
where do they
No,
approach it?
Atlanta United doesn't have that luxury. You have to win now. Arthur Blank came out and he penned a letter to all the Atlanta United supporters, season ticket members, and he just said, we need to reward you with your support because you're some of the best supporters in the league, and the standard that we have shown this past season is not even close to good enough and what we expect. So no, they need to win now. And I look at that roster. That is a win now roster. $50 million. Latte Lot, Maranchuk, Almiron. Latte Lot and Maranchuk are Latte Lot is a little bit younger. He's in his mid to upper 20s. Maranchuk, I believe, just turned 30. Almiron is low 30s. Like, this is a win now roster. The designated players weren't great this year. And all of the signings signal to me, especially in the summer, that they want to win now. Alzate is not young. Their two center backs they brought in, Mihai and Barakal, they're not young. These are all players that have experience. They've played in Europe. This is a roster that is set up to win now. As far as the coaching, I'm never publicly going to advocate for any coach to lose their job because I don't feel comfortable doing that. But obviously, it wasn't good enough from Dyla, and I think that this was not a surprise to see them move on from him after the season that they had. I think Atlanta United internally feels like they have a good enough roster to be significantly better than they were this year. I think some players underperformed. I think a lot of players underperformed, but I also think Dyla didn't help those players reach their potential and
Sure.
get in their best bet. Now, as far as where do they turn, Doug Robertson, he covers Atlanta United. Dan, I'm sure you know who he
I know
is.
Doug.
He just came out with an article saying Tata Martino is very much interested in that job, which, as you guys know, he would be running it back for the sequel after such an electric 2 years that he started that franchise with. Is that the right move? I think theoretically, yes. I think you go get a Tata Martino, who is a winner. He's a proven winner in Major League Soccer. He's a great coach. Is that roster going to be a roster Tata Martino can get the best out of? I don't know. And I would almost lean towards no, because
I would say that's not the right move for Tata personally, but
I tend to side with you, Dan. Now, if Arthur in the sporting department comes in and says, Tata, you're getting a 4 or 5 year contract. We're going to give you a runway to get out from underneath some of these contracts and just please keep us above water. Try to win right away. Fine. He might do it. I look at what Tata did with a heavy Latin influence in that roster with Joseph and Almiron and Gonzalez Perez and the veterans they had from Parkey to Jeff Laurentowicz to Brad. That roster felt very much like a Tata Martino can lead you to glory roster. I don't think this roster feels like that, but if you have the chance to get Tata and he's interested, I think you got to go for it.
Gordo, what do you think?
Well, I think you misspoke when you said that Atlanta gives coaches time. I mean, how long have they been in existence? 7, 8 years? They have 4 coaches. That's what is the measure of a good leash? That's
boom.
Average. That's
Gordo,
average.
bring in the heat. He kind of got you, Gargs.
That's average of 2 years.
I'll respond. Keep going.
It's the Hey, we knew this when they dumped the roster and they were going to spend their money. We knew we debated it. It was the coaching. You guys, I think you specifically, Dan, said it was the coaching job over the others.
Let's be clear. Atlanta is an elite coaching job.
Totally. No.
Atlanta is an elite. Yes, agreed.
I'm not disagreeing with that point, but it's the most risky job that you can have because Arthur Blank and the supporters there they're like a victim of their own early success, right? That they set the bar so high, and they are going to be. It's just like Man United's been going the last 10 years. They're so used to winning, even though this was a very short window, but they started
Great comp.
so
Great
hot.
comp.
And now they're just turning and burning and just turning their wheels until they get it right. So I think Tata is a great. I think who else are they going to give a leash to other than the guy that's already done it there? So I think it would be a really good move for them to get some stability into that organization on the coaching level. And he's got the track record to build a roster, so they would give him time. But he's gonna want to clean up the majority.
He's gonna
Dude,
want
he's not
change
gonna want any of that roster.
No,
I mean, literally, I think he'd be interested in getting rid of all of it.
To be fair to Dyla as well, while I do think the roster is much better than where they finished, I don't see it with some of the players that they brought in. I don't see a high enough level to really compete for trophies.
So here, let me respond to you, Gordo, and just give you my picture of how I got to that. I think that Frank de Boer, Gabriel Heinz, Gonzalo Pineda, to be fair to all of them, I think they actually overstayed their welcome, to be honest. And I think that they probably should have been removed sooner than they actually were. Now I look also at the complexion of Arthur Blank and his properties, as in the Falcons and Atlanta United, and he typically allows individuals staying. He gives them staying power, which is great. I think that there is a confidence that, hey, we're signing you to a contract. We're going to give you the opportunity to do the job. So that's where I'm saying this is, for me, the quickest leash that I've seen from him in terms of, okay, yeah, this isn't good enough, and we're going to make a move. And I do think that I love the idea of Tata Martino conceptually, but to Dax's point, like, they've spent a ton of money, and for Hendo to get out of all of these deals to appease a Tata Martino, it would be incredibly difficult. And I don't know if I don't know.
I don't know how you get out from some of the DP contracts. Almiron, you're not getting out of Almiron. So unless you somehow get Arthur to buy him out, which I don't think that's going to happen. Latte Lot, he's had a really tough year, and he was the most expensive player in Major League Soccer history before Sun came in. I don't know how you recoup even half your purchase price on that, especially with how he played this year. Moranchuk probably is the only one that I think, especially because he was decent this year, has some resale value that you might be able to get a little bit of money for. I don't think you're going to get the 10 mil you spent on him, but
we also know that this is a roster too, right? And you tweak 2 or 3 of those pieces, not necessarily all 3 of the DPs, but you tweak 2 or 3 in the roster, completely changes the complexion, and maybe the rest of them fit.
I would argue they need to go, and I think Chris Henderson is a very good executive, and I think he's going to be able to help fix this roster. But I think you go the LAFC route a few years ago, where you hit the domestic market, free agent market really hard. Like really hard. You have to rebuild your leadership of that team. I've said it since I retired, guys. Other than Brad Guzan, not good enough from the leadership department on the players' side. You need a Jeff Laurentowicz. You need a Michael Parkhurst. You need some experienced veteran players, and I'm not even going to say American, because there's plenty of players. And look at how well Anibal Godoy, my old Nashville teammate, did in San Diego. And it's because he has MLS experience and he knows how to win. Go get 3 or 4 players who are going to elevate your roster and hold each other more to a higher level of accountability. So we can't just put the scouting department, the front office, the coaching, all of it deserves a little bit of blame. Don't absolve the players either, because the players are the ones that have to go out there, and it wasn't good enough all season long from them. So go fix it that way.
Henderson, get your boy Nagby on the phone.
Get him to come out of retirement.
2 more years.
That would be a miracle.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I get I don't know if that's a possibility. Darlington's pretty. He's pretty.
That's not a possibility
within decision making. I
hey,
love
breaking
Darlington.
news, boys! Breaking news. Nagny may be open to going to Atlanta next year.
Oh my God.
I got a source.
My sources trust me, bro.
All right. Well, let's talk. Let's pivot off of that. Let's go in a little bit of decision day because this did kind of change the complexion of the playoffs in terms of the play-in games. Gordo, was there a winner from decision day for you? Because let's keep it positive.
I mean, Dallas sneaks in. You know, can we just talk about this again? I love decision day, man.
It's great.
It was very weak on the Eastern Conference side because that's been solidified for a long time.
I would push back a little bit, Gordo. I agree with you that it was weak in terms of who was going to make it, but the Chicago New England game had a lot of drama.
Sure.
There was a lot of like chopping
the matchups
and changing.
that came out of it too.
Totally.
To get a Cincinnati Columbus matchup.
You know what I love?
I
don't know if you guys watch 360, and it would hurt me if you say you don't, but that's okay. But we have the live look-ins where, you know, Columbus, they win their game, they take care of business, but they don't know where they're going to finish. They don't know if they're going to be in the play-in game or not. So we have them up, standing in the middle of the field, watching the big screen of the Chicago game, waiting for the results. Yeah, and seeing where things are going to shake out. Yeah, oh yeah, people stayed. So it's great. You know, if you watch the West, you saw San Diego after demolishing Portland on the field, all huddled around their iPhones, being like, they were all huddled up trying to wait for the Vancouver result to see if they were going to win the West or not. I mean, that's the best part of decision day is the drama and the chaos that happens. And so anyways, Gordo, there was a little bit of drama in the East, not as much as the West.
Gordo, you're taking Dallas. Right. Dallas is your winner, right? How do they feel about playing Vancouver again?
I don't think they give a shit. They're in the playoffs. Okay. You know, they're
playing with house money.
They earned their right, and we went through this with DAX, right? And Atlanta, you need a chip in a chair, and then they shocked the world, and I thought they were going to do it in Miami as well, but they at least gave themselves a chance. So yes, they're the winner. How often have we talked about Dallas on this show this year? Zero,
never.
Maybe once with Lucho Acosta, but that was it.
And I haven't heard about Lucha Acosta all season long. So good for them, dude. They're like the dark horse. I know nothing about them because we haven't talked about them. But like,
well, unless you cover South American soccer more than you cover MLS, you would not have heard about Lucho Acosta.
Yeah. Is Omar Gonzalez still on that team? I have no idea. But no, hey, I think they're the winners. Salt Lake is the winner. Anybody that gave themselves a chance on the last day is good. And Dax can probably give me a little bit better of, you know, some of the movements and the matchups, which I haven't seen. But, you know, for me, I think that's pretty
Dallas. Dallas
Dax,
is the winner. Dallas
winner,
did well. I think in the East, it was Charlotte. There was a really good race for the top four. Nashville, NYCFC, and Charlotte all had the chance to get into that top four spot. Charlotte took care of business. They smacked Philly at home to secure the number 4 seed, which means home field advantage at the bank, which they're very good at. But I would call Charlotte a winner and a loser because Wilfred Zaha, I don't know if you guys saw this, he got sent off in the 90th minute for so much petulance. And this is what bothers me about Wilfred Zaha. He's come into the league and it took him a little while to get going. He's been one of the best players in the league for about 6 months now. Being a talisman for that Charlotte attack. He's been very good. I think he's got double-digit goals and double-digit assists. Great season, right? You're already without Pep Biel, who is going to be done for the season. He's not going to be involved in the playoffs with an injury. So you need Zaha to be at his best. And teams are winding him up. He's the most fouled player in MLS history for one season based on this year. So I think the MO is out. Get under Zaha's skin, rile him up, right? Like take him out of his game. So Zaha gets kicked in the 90th minute. He gets in some guy's face and, you know, the guy smacks his hand down and Zaha tries to open hand slap punch him and he doesn't connect, but he still does it. Ref sees it, red card. You can't do that. Charlotte's a winner and a loser for me because I get frustrated when great players aren't involved in big games. There's a big game for Charlotte, this first game against NYCFC. And so it frustrates me that the best player is not going to be on the field. And it bothers me because you work so hard all year for home field advantage and your best player does that. It feels a little bit like taking the wind out of your sails. But Chicago is also a winner, being able to
Yep.
to host the wild card game. I think
Hmm.
Chicago can really make some noise in the playoffs. I really don't think anyone wants to see that attack. Like Philly, if Chicago wins the playing game against Orlando, who's in absolutely horrific form, Philly Chicago is an unreal first round matchup, and
Hmm.
that's a tough matchup for Philly.
Dude,
So
that is a tough
Is this
matchup
a
I
for
think
is
Philly.
this a classic Pareja burnout?
it
Tired
looks
of
like it,
Yeah.
the
Gordo. It
season?
looks like it. They have one win in their last 10 games. It's
Yeah.
just Orlando's very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Yeah,
They-
and
He
that's personal for you, Dax. That's
Well,
he tires his players out, dude.
dude. He
I,
does. He does the same thing. It's always the same. They
Always.
always look incredible, and then they flame
yeah.
out because you can't deal with it. The I like the Chicago Shout as the winner. You mentioned a winner, Gordo, in RSL. I actually think that I would characterize them as a loser to come into St. Louis and not really fully be maybe like on firing on all cylinders, I guess is the best way you could put that, to give up a late goal, to lose
Yeah.
your 3 points, to then now have to travel to Portland for a play-in game. Like, you don't want that. You definitely don't want that. And for, like, you were talking about these players. That for me, we know the way that Pablo coaches. We know the way that he inspires his groups. There definitely wasn't a lack of motivation and understanding about what is important within this game and the position that you either have the potential to put yourselves in one way or the other. And to walk out of there and not hold on to that result. And I mean, I watched that game. It wasn't the best performance from those guys at all.
No.
And it was disappointing to watch. And now you're going to Portland in a tough game, in a very tough environment, one of the
I
most difficult environments to play and get a result in.
I
And
I'm
now,
gonna push back on you, Gargs, hard.
okay, good.
Yes, tough environment to play in. No one's gonna argue that. I think Portland isn't, other than Orlando, Portland is in the shambolic form. Literally.
Yes, agreed. But this is the
Portland,
playoff stacks.
it is the playoffs, but Portland is terrible right now. Portland is legitimately terrible right now. They just got
Hmm.
smacked 4-0 by San Diego on that same fortress of a field that you talked
Yep,
about.
I agree.
They are all over the place. Phil Neville doesn't know what his best back line is. He doesn't know what his attack looks like. I think
But Dax,
I think
this
Salt
is
Lake.
it's
I actually think Salt Lake is the favorite going into Portland. Like Salt Lake should be disappointed if they don't win that game.
I
And
would
let's not
agree.
forget, Dan. Let's not forget what happened last year. Do you remember what happened in the wild card game last year when the game was
I
in
don't.
Portland?
Portland got smacked.
Vancouver 5-0
Oh,
over
yeah.
the Timbers.
That's
Boom,
true.
game set
That is
match.
true.
Forgot
No,
about that.
all of that's fair. And I'm not saying that Salt Lake is not the favorite, but they put themselves in this
They're
situation
not
to
in
have
great
to,
form.
to have to
Yes.
travel on
Yes.
short rest and then win that game. Let's say they win that game, they still have to now go into a round having played an extra game in Portland and put themselves in a situation where it's a one-off playoff game.
It is.
Anything can happen.
It can.
And they didn't need to be there. They're playing the worst team in the Western Conference or second to worst team in the Western Conference, and you can't get a result to avoid this situation. I think I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed
Sure.
in that group. So for me, that's a tough one. Let's move into some results here. And in these knockout rounds, I would have to think that all of us are taking Chicago over Orlando. Is that a safe bet?
I mean, I can't take Orlando. Right now, Chicago is the favorite. I don't know, Gordo, you want
You're
to be
going
crazy?
6-7, Gordo?
Yeah, Chicago, even though Chicago hasn't been great at home, Chicago's just got too much for Orlando. Their back line, especially if Robin Jansen's out, which he was injured and he didn't play on decision day against Toronto. He's easily their best defender. They looked lost without him. If he doesn't play, I mean, I just don't see Orlando having any chance. It's MLS. Of course they have a chance, but I'm taking Chicago easily in
I'm
that
gonna
game.
I'm gonna pick some upsets, but this will not be one of them. I'm gonna go Chicago.
Okay, so let's move on to the second game. Are you taking Portland?
Nope.
No.
So you're not taking any upsets.
I can't wait to hear what upsets he's taking. I really can't. To be fair, Portland is the home team, so we are taking the upset technically. But
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Salt Lake,
No,
I don't know.
No, I am gonna take. Yeah, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
All right, Gargs, who are you taking in the wild card?
I'm taking the
games?
same. I'm taking Chicago and RSL. But I think that I think they're both going to be tougher games than probably either one want to admit. And I think that again,
Playoffs. Hey,
it's the playoffs.
ask how many people took Atlanta United to go in and beat Montreal. Like Not many people. I
I don't
wouldn't
see a
think.
five. I guess I don't see a 5-0 route coming in
Gordowski
Portland
took us.
on
I
Thursday.
took you.
You're
Yeah,
an oracle, man.
Gordowski did take you. I remember that. That was pretty good.
Did you take us against Miami?
Yeah.
So you had
You
too
guys
many
were hot.
concussions. We were hot.
I did not, just for clarity's sake.
Oh, don't worry, we know.
Yeah. So, all right, last one before we get out of here. I wanna hear Gordo. I want you to watch one playoff matchup. Can you pick one? Have you picked one that you're gonna dial in on?
No, give me one.
You got Philly versus the play-in, so Philly, Chicago, Orlando. You got
Oh,
Cincy, Columbus, which
that's
Clear.
one. That's the one.
There's no other first round
do you want
matchup
me to
that even
stop? I
comes
can stop there.
close.
That's well.
Stop.
So let me go to the next one. Let me go to the next one. No, let me go to the next one. You got Miami, Nashville, coming off of a very good game where Nashville dominated Miami in the first half and Messi dominated the rest of the world in the
Obviously
second
going to
half.
watch that
That's
one too.
that's a close second. I
Yeah.
don't. I
Yeah.
think the Eastern. I think this is. I don't know if this is East Coast bias talking here, but the Eastern Conference matchups are all so compelling. Every single one of them. I even think Charlotte NYCFC is compelling, but Nashville, Miami, and hell is real for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Those are great. And even Nashville, Miami, right? Like both clubs, like think about their history. They came in at the same time during COVID, right? Miami was the glitz and glamour. Nashville was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like the workman-like, cost saving budget roster. And both have ended up winning trophies. BJ Callahan's done an excellent job. Messi
Yep.
is the very clear front runner, going to be back-to-back MVP. So you're right, Gargs. I think Nashville, like they just got destroyed in the second half. I think Nashville is going to give Miami a big problem. And if
I do too.
if Messi and Miami go out in back-to-back seasons in the first round, that's bad.
I think it's
That
going
might
to
not
happen.
get the Messi deal done, is what might happen to that.
I disagree. I think he's already. I think he's staying, but yeah, he's not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, I don't know. So
It's going to
Miami,
be fun to
Nashville,
see
I
what
think is fun.
new friends he brings in.
If they could trade DePaul for somebody, because he stinks, dude. He is. Oh my
Thank you. I
God.
All right,
I called
hey,
that early.
take it easy. He doesn't stink, but he is. If we're
Overpaid.
he's been over. He's been slightly overrated this year. I haven't been as impressed with him, and especially if we're comparing him to Mueller and Son. Of course not, different stratosphere, but he's been better as of late.
I really liked him, and I don't know. I also think that maybe I haven't given him enough of a runway to be successful in this league because this league is hard, and his personality seems like one of the ones that would come in and expect to just be dominant, like Jordi and Busquets and Messi and Suarez.
He's
and kind
never
of fit
he's
right
never
in.
he's not that type of player, dude. He's never
But
going to be
I know
dominant.
that's what I'm saying.
He just
Like, I
he
think
has to do the little things well, and he kind of hasn't. He's been
I
too
do.
anonymous.
I feel like this league is very difficult to do the little things well, and that's like,
Totally.
and that's his profile. So
That's
I probably
because
haven't given him enough of a runway to find whatever that niche is going to be for him.
Yep.
But
you can't pay a guy that he doesn't stink at soccer. He's a very good player. He won the World Cup, obviously,
yeah,
but you can't pay a guy that salary.
It's
in
a good
the MLS.
it's a good point, Gordo. You're going to be associated with your roster designation and your transfer fee, whether you like it or not.
And in a squad like Atletico Madrid or Argentina,
it doesn't matter.
He's the perfect fit because he's not the highest paid player by any means, but he does all the dirty work for all the great players. MLS roster in Miami just doesn't have that, so you need more out of your DPs. He's not technically a DP, but you get it.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. Yeah, the Western Conference is a bit of a bunch of snoozers, but I do like. For me, I'm looking at the Minnesota Seattle.
I was going to say Minnesota Seattle is compelling because Minnesota beat Seattle twice, but I think you're still looking at the Seattle Sounders as the favorite in that matchup. Seattle just lost our boy De La Vega. I don't know how bad the injury is, but he got stretchered off in tears against NYCFC, which is very sad. Yeah, it's very sad, and
That's tough.
Seattle has a lot of attacking options, right? Schmetzer is spoiled for options, but in the playoffs, you can never have too many good attacking players, and so I don't think.
Dax, let me ask you a tough question.
Sure.
Who's going to miss who more? Is Philly going to miss Quinn Sullivan more, or is Seattle going to miss De La Vega more?
Quinn Sullivan.
Yeah.
Quinn Sullivan for sure, and because he's been excellent for Philly, and I think Generally speaking, Bradley Carnell has moved Iloski, who's a striker, to play in one of those deeper dual 10 roles, and he's been fine, but it's just different for him.
It changes the
It
complexion.
changes the complexion of Philly. So
Hey, what's the injury on Sullivan? Was it a hammy?
ACL.
No, ACL. He's done for the year.
Oh shit.
And I don't think Seattle's come out with an official injury diagnosis. You see a guy go off on a stretcher in tears. I'm assuming it's going to be bad. So
and he's going to miss the play-in game. We can be safe in assuming that.
Well, he's not in the play-in game, but first round.
Yeah, first round.
Round. I would assume. Yeah.
That's terrible timing. He was rumored to go, be getting some overseas looks, right?
Yeah. Hey, Gordo, before we hop off, can we ask you how you felt about our surprise birthday Zoom for you? Did it make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside?
Made me feel special, made me feel special again, guys. I forgot that anybody loved me. And you guys found the 5 guys that would hop on here. So thank you for doing that. You guys sparked
What
me.
you don't know, Gordo, is we sent out 171 invitations
and 5 showed up.
Yeah.
Producer Sam, that was her idea, so we need to give her some love. So you can thank her on the side.
You guys gave me such good vibes. I went and played golf right after that, and I hit a hole-in-one.
Oh, proof.
How many you got?
Get the witness on here.
One.
Good for you, buddy.
1-1.
A birthday hole-in-one? Come on, it doesn't get better than that.
It was great. It was
and
great.
guys, Dan Gargan was inducted into his high school Hall of Fame for the 3rd time this weekend.
But what?
Yeah.
Why?
The spelling bee?
Why?
Spelling bee.
For the
Spelling
3rd time?
champ.
Why?
Spelling champ.
Is there not just one Hall of Fame? Like, I don't understand.
I got inducted as an individual, and then 2 of my teams have been inducted, like specific teams. So this past week, I got to travel back to Springside Chestnut Hill Academy in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I've been there.
Does your high school play in like a 6-team league or something?
Yeah,
my high school
1A.
actually plays in the
1A.
Interac, which is the oldest scholastic sports league in the country, alongside of a couple other kind of powerhouse institutions. But it's man, it was a special place. And anytime you get to go back and see people, God, it just feels great. And it felt great. And we were talking about track, and track for me was like, I was fast, but I wasn't like the superior track star on our team. And we had a couple guys, so I had to show up and lose, and that stunk. Like, that was hard. We had a guy that went to Penn State on a full ride, like an Olympian. We had a couple other guys that ran in college, and but it was good to go back and you shoot the shit with the old guys and see faces.
It's great, man. I'm proud of you, man.
Fun, so.
Getting big Uncle Rico vibes from your high school Hall of Fame inductions. But
I was kicking footballs.
You were throwing footballs over the mountains over there.
Oh, dude! So I kicked. I went out to the fields, and I decided that I was getting inducted for track, so I'd go out and run some 400s because that's what I ran. And I damn near killed myself. I was like, I got it wrong. I did 4, and I was like, what in the hell was I thinking? Why am I here? I could barely walk for the actual induction later that night. I'm a moron, but it did feel good to remind me and give me some vibes of where I was coming from. So I appreciate the shout out, Sam. Journeymen. Good episode. Well done. Both very well prepared. Gordo, I'm giving you the nod on this one. Dax, your hair doesn't look as good as I was expecting. And Gordo's coming. You can still see the hole-in-one vibes from Gordo.
He's glowing.
So well
He's
played.
glowing.
Yeah,
we'll give it to him.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And he's got his phone turned the right way for this one. So you know what? All in all, Gordo, great performance. Journeyman, we will see you out there. Adios.